Who foots the bill for climate change? There's loads of evidence now to say that it should be readily affordable to respond to climate change, especially if we have international action and if we have early action, which is why agreement at Copenhagen is so important. The Stern Review has said that with 1 or 2% investments of income now, we could avoid 5 to 20% of costs later, which has really changed the political landscape because it said do something now and it's affordable, leave it till later and it's not. If we think about the equity implications and the distributional issues associated with climate change, then these are really significant, both on the mitigation side, the avoidance of climate change, and on the adaptation side, the response to climate change when it happens. On mitigation, again, there's loads of evidence that as households or as businesses or as countries as a whole, we ought to be able to reduce our emissions by 30 or 40% with existing technologies and at relatively affordable levels. So there ought to be an effective response that is readily affordable. On the adaptation side, then it's different in a way, because although the problem has been caused by producers and consumers in the north, the biggest impacts will probably be felt by vulnerable countries and vulnerable communities in the south, which is why there's so much emphasis being placed on financing mechanisms for adaptation, on flows of capital to enable vulnerable countries and communities to adapt to climate change in the south. Even within the north, though, then there still will be vulnerable communities who are disproportionately affected by climate change. And again, we need to find out ways of identifying those vulnerable communities and providing targeted policy support for those communities. In a way, though, the big issues about climate change are temporal ones, about time. Is it a question of invest a little bit now and get the benefits later, or is it ignore it now and pay the cost later? And in that sense, it's future generations who may end up paying for climate change if we don't do something significant at Copenhagen.